Hello and welcome to Fin Business. Today we have with us Sanjay Mehta, an angel investor who pumps in a lot of capital into fintechs, and who is the man behind India's fintech. So, welcome on show.
Thank you, Aman.
So, Sanjay, recently in an event you made an interesting statement, and that statement I really stuck in my head. The statement that you made is, fintechs are eating leftovers, and banks are eating the cream. Could you please explain it? Why do you think so that fintechs are eating the leftovers?
I think bank management and the bank teams are smart enough. If they smell business and an opportunity, they definitely can create a product with all the might and what they have across. What I see across is most of the fintech right now are serving or giving out point solutions.
Right.
They are not offering real solutions to the so-called the HNIs. Most of them are trying to solve across the bottom of pyramid challenges.
Right.
And where to achieve a scale is very difficult. And still India has to have that kind of buying power at the bottom of pyramid, so that those kind of fintech startup which are serving them can create large volumes of profit. Today also 80-20 rule applies across in the fintech world, where 80% of profit are generated by 20% of the customers, and those 20% are typically high net worth individual whom still fintechs have not really been able to touch across. Most of the solutions are for bottom of the pyramid.
Is it really truth that the banks actually eating the cream? Is because many banks, spend a lot of money in acquiring, and not only acquiring but integrating that fintech with them.
What is being happening in the market is banks still control, own and manage the customer. Fintechs are still dependent on the
Bank's infrastructure
for everything and anything. It's not that it is where banks are following what fintech are commanding or fintechs are demanding, and they have a lead position. So while all the innovation and the new tech which fintech companies are trying to do across, they are unable to disrupt the real core business of the banking. Most of the banks have created innovation cells. They are agile, and they have their ears on the ground. And they are working very quickly and in an agile manner to compete against this whole wave of startups. So and this I'm talking with a perspective of private banks.
Right.
While public sector banks definitely are in a laggard and will remain laggard on adoption of technology.
But fintechs are developing innovation or the solutions for the banks, and bank doesn't have the technology, so it's very wise for them to take the innovation from the fintech. So it becomes win-win for both of them.
No, it's a win only for banks, because it's a cheap innovation.
Okay.
What they would have paid across 10x by building themselves, they are getting possibly at 1x from all the cheap labor what the startup is doing.
So do you think that the bank dictates rules and
everything? Bank, so these guys are dependent on, because they don't have a compliance of RBI, they don't have understanding how these things work, so they are dependent on bank, and bank will command across a price what they want across.
So do you believe that the banks will be always at a dominant role going ahead?
I don't say always, but currently the situation I see across, and in short term, yes, banks are at a dominance.
Can this situation change going ahead?
Yes, definitely. And I believe that leveler will, when startups start not thinking local but globally, using blockchain technology, that's where they can really disrupt across the complete ecosystem what banking today is.
Okay, so I would like to take your perspective on also the valuations of fintechs. Will it be a good idea that government of India under MCA is coming with some standard norms for the valuation of companies, whether the companies which are going to list, and specifically for fintechs as well? Will it make sense into the market?
I think this is utter nonsense. If this thing happen, see, market has to be driven by supply and demand force.
Right.
You can't dictate valuations. You can't dictate this kind of norms if they are coming across. I'm not privy to it, but if this is happening across in real terms, where MCA or SEBI is going to decide valuations, I think it's utter nonsense, and you can't derive a company's real value unless you put it out in market. Let market forces, supply demand determine, and that's what economy is about. I mean, if tomorrow you are talking about saying that, stock exchange, some prices of the stock shouldn't be governed across because it's going up, that's the nature of that whole business, and that's how the valuations are created. So government trying to control valuations, I think it's idiotic.
Okay, I think what my reading and my understanding is that what government wants to do is they don't want anybody and everybody to come and value certain companies, because at the end of the day when the company is going into the market, public is responsible for that. So that is what the agenda is. So don't you think it will help in some way to bring some standardization?
I think they can put a structure to saying that, what are the methods of valuation, but they can't dictate what will be the price. They can put out saying that, okay, these are the 20 parameters on which the disclosures has to be done. These are the possible 20 parameters on which how valuations should be indicated. But if somebody is going to put a cap onto it or saying that this is how the floor will be, I think then that's wrong.
Okay.
Because let that asset find the right value in the market. If market forces think that this asset is highly valuable and I foresee saying that this is going to be a great investment for me, why to stop across? All investors are smart enough. They understand where their money, they are putting across their money. In name of investor protection, if you are going to cut or undermine the value of assets, I think it's going to hurt entrepreneurs more.
So even there shouldn't be any registration kind of thing, because RVO, Registered Value Organization, I think is going to standardize specifically for the valuers. At least if you're a valuer, you should register with us. I think that is what the formula is.
It's like you are forming a club.
Yeah.
It's you are creating a license Raj. I mean, what is the need of it? Let it be a free market.
Absolutely. Okay, last point. How the valuations are done globally of the fintech specifically?
So I wouldn't be able to comment on the valuations done globally. There are multiple methods which people apply across. For me as an investor, the way I look upon is, if I am going to invest into any startup, because I'm an angel investor, I come at seed stage, Series A stage, I do minority investments, take those stake where the capital is enough for them to raise the next round of money, and so leaving enough equity on the table for the next incoming investor. So if I do the math right, typically we would do across max of 30% of equity is what we will take in the first round of investment.
Okay, great insight, Sanjay. It was really insightful talking to you. Thank you so much for talking to Fin Business. It was pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amar.
Thank you. And thank you so much for watching.